Hi everyone. I would like to welcome you all to the Sith IELTS channel. So today we are going to talk about IELTS speaking. Right. So I thought we would start with speaking because most people consider it as the easiest module in the IELTS test. So when you compare it to writing, reading and listening, most people, including myself, I believe that speaking is the easiest task because it takes less time and less preparation and there's less theory behind it. So we can, it's normally a module where a lot of people get a lot of marks, right? Where you can increase your overall band score. So I thought I would start it with the easiest module and work myself way up to the hardest module. And if you like our channel and if you like this video, please give it a like and also please subscribe and share it with your friends, and of course please press that notification button with the bell icon in it, so whenever I put a new video you will get the notification for it. So in this video we are going to talk about some important facts to know about the IELTS speaking test. So we will talk about what kind of parts are in the IELTS speaking test, which is part 1, part 2, part 3, and also the assessment criteria that goes into it, and some of the skills that could help you to get really good marks. And of course we are going to end the video with a little question for you guys, right? So just to know that you guys understood what I said, and it's like a little self-assessment, right? It's very simple, very general, so you can complete it, and please leave a comment on what are the scores or what the question and what the answers are for it, and I will have a look at it and I will assess it and I will send it back to you. So first of all, we are going to talk about the IELTS speaking test format, right? So the entire test goes for about 11 to 14 minutes maximum. So that is one of the reasons why most people consider it quite easy compared to the other modules, right? Because it's a smaller exam, it's a shorter exam. So this exam is broken down into 3 sections: part 1, part 2, part 3. So in part 1, the examiner is going to ask you questions about your everyday life, like general knowledge. So part 1 would be the most easiest part to answer to. So the examiner will probably ask you about what you do, what kind of work do you study, where do you live, what do you think about certain situations that's happening in the country, or what your city is like. Very general questions. So it's very easy to tackle too, because we all have that knowledge about everyday life, so because we all have experience it. So part 1 is the most easiest part to tackle. Part 2 is probably the somewhat complex part in the IELTS speaking exam. I am saying it's somewhat complex because in the IELTS part 2 speaking, right, you have to give a speech, right? The speech will go on for a maximum of about 2 minutes. So essentially what the examiner does is, the examiner will give you a question, right, and a piece of paper, and under that question you have three bullet points: point 1, point 2, point 3, right? So they are recommending us to use those 3 bullet points to give the speech on the part 2, right? So there's no ruling saying that we have to use all 3 bullet points, but I also would recommend you guys to use those 3 bullet points because it already gives us like this foundation to structure our speech in. Because when they give that piece of paper with the question on those 3 bullet points, they also give us a piece of paper and a pencil as well. So, and they give us 1 minute to prepare a speech, right? So if you are comfortable, like if you are confident that you don't need those 3 bullet points, good for you, right? It's all good. But if you think those 3 bullet points are needed, right, in that 1 minute that you have, just structure your speech with those 3 bullet points in your mind. Okay, so it will be much easier for you to talk within the time limit that they give you, which is 2 minutes. So that is why that most people consider IELTS speaking part 2 the most difficult out of those 3 parts, because we are the part 1 and part 3. It's a give and take. It's a question and answer session with the examiner. In part 2, they essentially give you a question and we just have to go on for 2 minutes. So, but nothing to worry, right? Practice makes perfect. So the more you practice, the more better you will get. Part 3 is quite similar to part 1, but the key difference is part 3, they are going to ask you questions and we have to give them the answers for it. But those part 3 questions are going to be based on the part 2 topic. right? For example, if they ask about tourism in part 2, most likely the answers the questions rather that the examiner will ask you will be related to tourism. It could be directly related or indirectly related to tourism. So in that sense, if we do have knowledge about a certain topic, that would easily, like, it would help us a lot, right? We could use a specific vocabulary for it as well. But even if you don't know, like if you don't understand the topic that much, right? And it's still okay as long as you manage to give the answers, right? You manage to give the answers clearly, right? That's all that matters in the end. So now we are going to talk about the speaking assessment criteria. This is how the examiners mark you, right? I know like when we get at the end result, we get like speaking, we got 7.5 out of 9, but we don't know why we got it. Like what are the parts that were divided into in the first place to give that 7.5. So now we are going to talk about those specific parts. So it will give you a more deeper understanding on how these people, like, you know, how these examiners mark you properly. So when you're practicing by yourself at home, or when you're practicing with your friend or in the class, you will have great understanding on like what are the things that you are doing well and what are the things that need to be improved upon. So we can talk about these 4 assessment criteria now. Those 4 assessment criteria are fluency and coherence, right? Then we have grammatical range and accuracy. Then we have pronunciation. Then we have lexical resource, or you can call it vocabulary. So first of all, we are going to talk about fluency and coherence. So essentially fluency means, right, the ability for us to talk like in long lengths. We can talk and talk and talk and talk. That skill is very important, especially for part 2, right? Because we have to talk for a maximum of 2 minutes. So we should have the ability to talk without stuttering, without stopping, without keeping long gaps, right? We should be able to talk and for long lengths without stopping or without stuttering or without blocking our words. So in order to get full marks under fluency, our aim, our goal should be to talk like a native English speaker. That means like just keep talking, like non-stopping, like not stuttering, like not keeping long gaps between sentences or words. We should be able to talk fluently, like it should just flow, our words should just flow. So in order to get like full marks of fluency, we have to talk like native speakers, right? But even if you can't talk just like a native speaker in English, that's fine. But as long as we are clear in what we are saying and we have the ability to talk, right, even with short pauses, that's fine. You will get good marks if you do. Then the next assessment criteria is grammatical range and accuracy. So this is the part where most students get like a little bit worried, like you have to use like you know, really complicated forms of grammar. It's not like that. As long as the examiner can understand you clearly without like me thinking what does he or she mean about this, that's fine, right? The most basic forms of grammar that you should put is like obviously like singular, plural sentences, and you know, past tense, present tense, and future tense. Those 5 basic sentences, those 5 basic structures of grammar should be there, right? And do not overthink about grammar, right? As like I said earlier, as long as I can understand you clearly, right? As long as I don't have to overthink, like, what does he or she mean? Right? Just keep doing what you're doing, like that. Just, and also with the grammatical range and accuracy, try not to put like the same method of sentence structures, right? So for example, don't always say this is, or I am, right? You don't put the same structure again and again. Just mix up your structure. Right? This is, right? Or you can say therefore, right? In this situation, I believe that could be handled better. Right? Different structures, right? So it's not very complex, but just try to mix it up. Don't try to put the same structure again and again. And like I said earlier, please do not worry over too much about grammar. That way you will miss out on your fluency and your lexical resource and your pronunciation, because if you think too much if my grammar is okay while you're speaking in the speaking exam, you'll miss those other key areas. Then we will move on to pronunciation, right? Pronunciation means like how we say a word, how we speak. Is it clear to us? Right? For example, the word pronunciation itself, right? We have to say pronunciation, right? If just imagine if we hurried up, right? If we talk quickly, you know, how have you ever encountered people who talk really quickly? It's hard to understand what they're saying, right? So one of the best tips that I could tell you is, when you're doing the speaking exam, speak slowly. I will cover the tips and tricks in the upcoming videos that I'm going to put, right? Even if you're pronouncing properly, try to speak a little bit slowly, right? Don't say pronunciation, say pronunciation, okay? So speak clearly, speak slowly. And the last assessment criteria is, right, lexical resource or vocabulary. This means what kind of words that we put on our speaking exam, right? The quality of those words, right? So try to mix up your words, right? If you have synonyms, right, for certain words, try to put those synonyms in there. If you have like some words that are like a little bit complex, right, a little bit higher level, you know, it's like more deeper. So if you can put those words in there as well, good. Put them in there, right? It just assesses you on the mix of words that you have and how you linked sentences with certain words, like therefore, although, because, like those words like that. And the complexity of some of the words that you have used, the more complex they are, some words, like don't try to do like a PhD level, like a doctorate level wording here, but just try to mix it up. Just try to mix it up. Okay? Just put some complex words in there, just to show that the examiner, right, that okay, this guy, this girl, this person is knowing how to speak, and he has a good range of vocabulary. So finally, I would like to leave this video with a little bit of a question session with you, right? So I'm going to give you a small question session to see if you understood what I said in this video, right? So for example, just imagine there are 3 students, student A, student B, student C, right? So I'm going to give a short summary as if these students have come to me and had a speaking exam with me, right? I'm going to give you a short summary. So your job is to give them 5 out of 9 or 6 out of 9 or 7 out of 9, depending on what I say about this student and how their speaking pattern was, right? So when you do that question, please put it under the comments. So I will look at it and I will reply to you with a comment if you got everything right or wrong. Right? So it's just a simple little exam just to see like if you got what I said. So because it's this video, like all the things that I said about the exam structure, the mapping criteria, and the part 1, part 2, part 3, to understand those things, it's important. All right. So student A. Student A, I gave a comment saying he was able to speak clearly and fluently, and he spoke very well with good organized sentence structures for 2 minutes straight for part 2. So would you give him 5 out of 9, 6 out of 9 or 7 out of 9? Student B. Student B was not able to use proper grammar and not really good lexical resource or vocabulary, and he struggled to talk for 2 minutes straight, which shows a lack of fluency. So would you give the student 5 out of 9, 6 out of 9 or 7 out of 9? Student C. Student C spoke well but had some minor issues with grammar and pronunciation. So would you give the student 5 out of 9, 6 out of 9 or 7 out of 9? So please write the answers in the comments below and I will have a look and I will get back to you and just to tell you that if you got everything correct or not. So that's about it for this video, guys. Like I said earlier, I will put more videos in the future, right? So I will specifically focus on, like there will be some videos on IELTS part 1, how to improve and what to do and what to not to do on those things. Part 2, right, what to do, what not to do, like how to improve on those things, what are the tips and tricks on there. And part 3, to do, not to do, the tips and tricks, like how you could face them and get like good marks on them. So I just want to say again, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for taking your time and coming and looking at my video. And like I said earlier, if you did like what I said, and if you do like my channel, just give it a like. Please subscribe and share it among your friends and family, just to help them out as well. And of course, please press the notification button so you will get an alert whenever I put a new video. So again, thank you very much all. I hope you guys have a lovely day and take care and be safe. I will see you guys again in my next video. Take care, guys. Be well.